I remember the day everything started to unravel like it was yesterday. The sun was dipping low over the rugged hills of Montana, casting that golden glow that makes the West feel like God's own country. I'd driven up from my modest cabin in Bozeman, the kind of place where you can hear the wind whispering through the pines and forget the world exists. But pulling up to my folks' sprawling ranch outside Missoula, I felt that familiar knot in my gut. The old wooden gate creaked as I pushed it open, and there was Dad's pickup truck parked crookedly by the barn, alongside my sister's shiny SUV and my ex's sleek sedan. Laughter spilled out from the main house, the kind fueled by craft beer and old grudges. My name's Emily Hayes, and I've always been the odd one out in this family.
Dad.
Jack Hayes runs a mid-sized law firm in town, specializing in land disputes and corporate wrangles, the stuff that keeps ranchers fighting over water rights. He's got that booming voice, the one he uses in court to sway juries or at home to lay down the law. My sister, Ashley, is a hotshot ER doctor at the local hospital, always flashing her perfect smile and her latest designer boots. And then there's Cody, my ex from college, now a real estate agent who thinks he's the king of flipping properties in the Rockies.
Me?
I've been tinkering with computers since I was a kid, building apps and security systems in my spare time. They all thought it was a hobby, something cute but useless, like knitting scarves no one wears. I should have knocked, but the door was ajar, and their voices carried clear as a mountain stream. Ranch deed transfer, Dad said, his tone all business. We can flip it quick for a cool $1 million. That'll cover the loans. My heart skipped. He was talking about Grandma's old homestead, Willow Creek Ranch, a cozy spread of land with a log cabin, a few acres of pasture, and the only place where I ever felt truly seen. Grandma Ellie had left it to me in her will 3 years back, right before the cancer took her. She taught me everything there, how to ride a horse,
Fix a fence.
and even code on her beat-up laptop by the fire. Leaning closer, I caught Ashley's sharp laugh. Emily won't even notice the fine print. She's too busy geeking out in her cabin. Just tell her it's routine estate stuff. She'll sign anything for family harmony. Cody chimed in, his voice slick as oil. Appraisal came in at $750,000. My cut's 6%. That's $45,000 easy. And she won't question it. She's always been the pushover. Dad grunted agreement. Bad investments in those land deals. Thought I could win 'em in court. But juries these days. Anyway, this fixes it without her knowing the half. My chest burned, not from shock but from the raw truth hitting home. I'd bailed them out before, anonymously wiring money through a dummy account to clear Ashley's maxed-out credit cards from her shopping sprees and spa trips. I'd done it thinking family sticks together, like Grandma always said. But hearing them plot to sell my inheritance to cover Dad's gambling on shady real estate ventures, it was like a slap from a trusted hand. I could have burst in, offered to help outright. My company, Frontier Secure, had just cleared $30 million in revenue last quarter, with an IPO looming. But their words, pushover, geek, they stung deep, rooting me in place. Quiet as a shadow, I slipped back to my truck. Wyatt, my security guy, was waiting by the driver's side, his stance solid as a ponderosa pine. He'd been with me for 2 years, knew the real me, the CEO building a cybersecurity empire from scratch. Everything okay, boss? He asked, eyes scanning the horizon. Get me the financial audits on Hayes Law, I said, my voice steady but edged. And pull up Ashley's records too. As we drove off into the twilight, the ranch shrinking in the rear view, I felt a shift. Not rage. Exactly, more like clarity. They'd underestimated me for the last time. Back in my cabin that night, I set up shop at the kitchen table, 3 laptops humming under the warm glow of the overhead light. Frontier Secure had been providing Dad's firm with top-tier digital protection for years. Ironic, since he had no clue it was my outfit. Digging into the logs, the story unfolded like a bad Western flick. Dad had sunk $15 million into risky land speculations, betting on court wins that never came. Lost it all to smarter lawyers and environmental regs. Ashley, her doc salary was solid at $250,000, but she blew through twice that on luxury getaways, high-end gear, and a wine cellar that could stock a saloon. Emails between them painted me as the easy mark. Emily's our safety net, Ashley wrote. Frame the deed transfer as protecting her from taxes. She'll buy it. By dawn, I'd screenshotted it all, every transfer, every desperate note. My phone buzzed. Travis Klein, my CFO and the only other soul who knew the full scope of my success. IPO opens in 24 hours, he said. Projections at $72 a share. But if you don't cut financial ties now, their debts could drag you under. Montana law on family liabilities is no joke. I knew he was right. Creditors could argue shared assets, especially with the ranch in play. Draft a waiver, I told him. Bury it in a charitable trust doc for the homestead. Make it look innocent. Travis hesitated. That's playing hardball. They started it, I replied. But let's make it fair. Add a clause for partial forgiveness if they come clean. As the sun rose over the mountains, painting the sky in pinks and golds, I stared at Grandma's old photo on the wall. Her teaching me to code by that creek, saying, strength ain't in fighting. It's in knowing when to stand tall. I wasn't out for blood. I wanted them to see me, really see me, and maybe learn that family isn't a one-way street. The next morning, I woke to the chirp of birds outside my cabin window, the fresh Montana air carrying the scent of pine and earth. But my mind was miles away, replaying the night's revelations. I brewed a strong pot of coffee, black,
No frills.
like Grandma taught me, and reviewed the docs Travis had sent over. The waiver was airtight. By signing, they'd release any claims on my assets, including IPO shares earmarked for family. But I'd tweaked it humane-like, adding a provision for me to cover half their debts if they admitted their schemes and sought counseling. Legal in Montana, where family courts emphasize reconciliation over ruin. Around noon, Ashley's text came through. Family meeting at the ranch. 3 p.m. Important estate stuff. Wear something nice. Photo op. I almost laughed. She was softening me up, probably posting some throwback pic on social media to paint me as the eternal kid sister. Sure enough, I checked her Instagram, a shot of me at 20, hunched over a laptop in jeans and a flannel, coding through the night at the university library in Missoula. Caption: TBD to Sis's tech phase. Real-life calls. Family first, comments piled in, aunts clucking about me, finding direction, cousins joking I'd end up a hermit hacker. It hurt,
But it fueled me.
I drove to the ranch in my beat-up Jeep, dust kicking up on the gravel road. The main house loomed ahead, all timber beams and stone facade, a symbol of Dad's success built on borrowed time. Inside the study, they were waiting, Dad behind his massive oak desk, Ashley perched on the arm of a leather chair, Cody leaning against the bookshelf with that smug grin.
Ink.
Honey, Dad started, all folksy charm. We need to talk about Willow Creek. Taxes are piling up. And, with my firm hits, well, it's best to sell. We'll give you $40,000 cut. Fair. Right? I played along, letting my voice waver. But Dad, that's Grandma's place. It's all I have of her. Ashley rolled her eyes. Come on,
Eminencia.
you're not even using it. Living in that shack. Fiddling with computers, it's time to grow up. Sign this deed transfer, and we'll handle the rest. Cody slid the papers over. His realtor's spiel kicking in. Quick sale.
No hassle.
Market's hot for rustic spots like that. I scan the doc, standard quitclaim deed under Montana law. Transferring title to a shell buyer, them. No doubt. But I had my own stack from Travis, disguised as a family trust update for charity purposes. Hold on, I said, pulling it out. If we're doing this, let's bundle it with Grandma's wish for a trust fund to preserve the land. Sign mine too, it's all connected. Dad glanced at it briefly, flipping to the signature page.
Fine.
Whatever. Just get it done. They signed without reading, pens scratching like nails on a chalkboard. Ashley was already on her phone, likely planning her next post. Cody added his witness stamp, making it official. I signed last, tucking my copy away. Thanks.
Guys.
Means a lot. As they wrapped up, Dad clapped me on the back. Good girl.
Now.
Join us for the barbecue tonight? Celebrating a big land deal. I nodded. But inside, wheels were turning. The IPO was hours away. Their waiver just forfeited 1.2 million shares, worth about $86 million at opening. But my added clause left a door open for mercy. The barbecue was classic Western. Ribs on the grill, country music blaring from speakers, neighbors and clients milling on the lawn under string lights. Dad held court by the fire pit, toasting to Hayes' legacy and smart investments. Ashley live-streamed it all, her followers eating up the family facade. I hung back, nursing a soda, watching the clock. At 4 p.m. sharp, the NYSE bell rang, virtually, but phones lit up like fireworks. Notifications buzzed. Frontier Secure IPO skyrockets 300%. Guests checked stocks. Murmurs turning to gasps. Closed at $288 a share. Travis stepped from the crowd, suit sharp despite the casual vibe. Folks, a quick announcement. I'd like to introduce Emily Hayes, founder and CEO of Frontier Secure, the cybersecurity powerhouse that just made history. The yard went dead quiet. Dad's beer slipped, spilling on his boots. Ashley's phone shook in her hand. Cody's face paled like he'd seen a ghost. Dad stammered.
You.
What? I stepped forward, voice calm. Yeah,
Dad.
that hobby built a billion-dollar company. And those shares you just waived? Family allocation was set aside for you all. Travis laid it out. Page 6. Paragraph 4 of the trust doc you signed. Full release of claims. Ashley shrieked. You tricked us. But I held up a hand.
No trick.
You didn't read. Montana law requires due diligence on contracts. But look closer, there's a forgiveness clause. Admit what you did. Get help for the debts and grudges. And I'll cover half. We can rebuild as family. Dad's face crumpled. Not in anger, but defeat. We thought you were. Lost. Ashley tears up. Phone forgotten. Cody muttered apologies. The guests whispered. But it wasn't destruction, it was exposure. With a path to healing. That night, after the barbecue cleared out in awkward silence, I drove back to Willow Creek Ranch alone. The stars were out in full force. That vast western sky reminding me how small our dramas really are. I lit a fire in the old stone hearth, the crackle echoing Grandma's stories about resilience and roots. My phone stayed quiet, no frantic calls yet, But I knew they'd come. The waiver was binding under Montana statutes. Ignorance isn't a defense in signed agreements. But my humane twist? That was me choosing grace over grudge. By morning, the calls started. First Dad. Voice rough from lack of sleep.
Ink.
We need to talk. That doc. We didn't know. I met them at a neutral spot, a coffee shop in Missoula. The kind with worn booths and bottomless refills. Ashley looked wrecked.
No muck-up.
Just raw regret. Cody tagged along, fidgeting like a kid caught stealing cookies. We screwed up, Dad admitted, staring into his mug. Those land bets were my fault. Lost big on disputes over mining rights. Thought selling Willow Creek would bail us out without hurting you too bad. Ashley chimed in, voice breaking. I was drowning in debt, shopping to cope with ER stress. Posted that pic too. I don't know. Make you seem needy, so you'd agree easier. Cody nodded.
And I saw dollar signs.
But your success. We had no idea. I laid it out plain. I've been fixing your messes quietly for years. Wired money for debts. Secured your systems. But you saw me as the weak link. The waiver stands, you forfeited the shares. Valued at over $300 million now. With growth, their faces fell. But I continued. However, the clause I added, confess here, commit to financial counseling, and I'll forgive half the debts, about $7.5 million.
Plus,
help with rehabbing Willow Creek as a family retreat. It was more than fair. Montana family law encourages mediation. And this avoided courts altogether. Dad's eyes welled. Why give us a chance? Because Grandma taught me family ain't about perfection, I said. It's about second chances. But this is the last one, no more schemes. They agreed, signing a simple addendum Travis drafted. We spent the afternoon at the ranch, clearing out their storage. Turns out, they'd stashed fake antiques there. Planning insurance scams. We laughed bitterly over it, burning the junk in a bonfire. Ashley opened up about her burnout, Dad about his ego-driven risks. Cody even apologized for dumping me back in college, admitting he'd been intimidated by my smarts. As weeks passed, the IPO buzz died down. But my life ramped up. Frontier Secure's headquarters in Bozeman, a sleek building with mountain views, became my second home. Board meetings focused on expansions, new contracts with Western banks, protecting against cyber threats in rural areas.
Ir locals.
Boosting the economy, and donated to land conservation in Grandma's name. But the real change was at home. Dad enrolled in Gamblers Anonymous, turning his firm toward ethical cases. Ashley cut back hours, volunteering at clinics. Cody shifted to honest realty. We met weekly at Willow Creek, fixing fences, sharing meals. It wasn't perfect, old habits died hard, but it was progress. One evening, as the sun set over the pastures, Dad pulled me aside. Proud of you.
Eminencia.
Always was. Just too blind to show it. I hugged him, feeling the weight lift. Revenge had sparked it, but mercy mended it. Lesson learned, in the West, wide open spaces allow for wide open hearts. Months rolled by like tumbleweeds in a breeze, and Willow Creek Ranch transformed. We turned it into a shared haven, fresh paint on the cabin, a new barn for horses, even a tech nook where I could work remotely. The family counseling sessions were tough, raw talks about resentment and overlooked talents, but they stuck. Under Montana's community property laws, I'd shielded my assets cleanly, but the forgiveness fund I set up ensured no one went bankrupt. It was humane justice, accountability with a lifeline. One crisp fall day, Trouble brewed again. Cody called.
Panicked. Ink.
There's a glitch in your system at Dad's firm. Hack attempt. Looks like rivals sniffing our land deal records. I dove in from my office, fingers flying over keys. Frontier Secure's algorithms lit up threats like stars in the night sky. It was no coincidence. An old courtroom foe of Dad's had hired black hat hackers, aiming to expose his past losses for leverage in a new case. I traced it back, IP from a Denver server farm. Legal? Barely. But crossing into cybercrime territory under federal statutes like the CFAA. I could have crushed them, leaking evidence to the FBI for arrests. But, remembering my own pivot to mercy, I opted smarter. I fortified the systems, then anonymously tipped the rival's firm about their contractors' shady ties. They cut ties fast, avoiding scandal. That night at the ranch, I shared it over dinner. Could have ruined them, but I chose the high road. Like we did here. Ashley nodded. You're teaching us?
Eminencia.
No more shortcuts. Dad raised a glass. Water.
Now. Post-recovery.
To real family, the kind that lifts each other. My company soared. Partnerships with Silicon Valley outposts in the West. Securing data for energy firms and agribusiness. I spoke at conferences, sharing my story minus the drama, focusing on innovation from humble roots. But privately, the lesson stuck. Revenge tempts, but redemption lasts. As winter snow blanketed the hills, we gathered for holidays. Laughter filled the cabin. Genuine this time. Cody proposed to his new girlfriend, honest.
No schemes.
Ashley announced a sabbatical for balance. Dad mentored young lawyers ethically. I stood by the window, watching flurries dance. Grandma's spirit felt close. I'd honored her by building bridges,
Not burning them.
The West's vastness taught that. Room for growth. If you allow it. Spring brought renewal to Montana's landscapes. Green shoots pushing through thawed earth. At Frontier Secure, we launched a new initiative, free cybersecurity for small Western ranches, protecting against digital rustlers. It was my way of giving back, inspired by Grandma's ethos. The family thrived too. Dad's firm rebounded with clean wins. Ashley found joy in teaching med students, and Cody built a reputable agency. But the true test came during a family hike in the Bitterroot Mountains. Dad confessed lingering guilt.
Ink.
That waiver. We deserved worse. I stopped. Trail dust settling. You did. But holding grudges weighs you down like a heavy pack. The lesson? Communicate. Value each other beyond dollars. Ashley hugged me. You've shown us that. Stronger together. Back home, media buzzed about my rags-to-riches tale, but I kept it grounded. Interviews emphasized perseverance and family bonds. The old schemes?
Buried.
Lessons extracted. One sunset, alone at Willow Creek. I coded by the creek, just like old times. Peace settled in, not from revenge, but resolution. The shocking betrayal had led to unexpected unity, proving that even in drama's grip, humanity wins. In the end, our story wasn't about loss or gain, but growth. A light lesson for us all. In the American West, where horizons stretch endless, so does the capacity for forgiveness and fresh starts.